church, once a beacon of eternal stability, now finds itself adrift, shaken by the relentless tide of modernism. This crisis, a slow-burning fire, has consumed the pillars of tradition, leaving behind a scorched landscape where the old ways are abandoned and the faithful are left to wander, searching for meaning in the ashes. Like a mighty oak felled by an unseen rot, the church's roots in tradition have withered. Modernism, that insidious force, has crept into the very heart of the church, eroding the rituals and beliefs that once defined the sacred. The Latin Mass, the cornerstone of our faith, is now a relic, gathering dust in forgotten chapels. In its place, a new liturgy emerges, one that seeks to appease the modern sensibilities but lacks the depth and mystery of the ancient rites. As the old ways are cast aside, the faithful, too, are drifting away, like leaves carried by the wind. The pews, once filled with generations of believers, now stand empty, silent witnesses to the Exodus. The young, disillusioned by a church that seems more concerned with appeasement than salvation, seek solace elsewhere. The elders, guardians of tradition, mourn the loss of a church they no longer recognize, a church that once stood firm against the changing world but now bends to its every whim. In the shadow of this crisis, secularism rises like a dark cloud, obscuring the light of the divine. The world, in its endless pursuit of progress, has turned its back on the sacred, embracing a new gospel of materialism and self-interest. The church, in its desperate attempt to remain relevant, has opened its doors to these worldly influences, allowing them to seep into the very fabric of its being. But in doing so, it has lost its way, and with it, the trust of those who once looked to it for guidance. At the helm of this floundering ship, the leaders of the church find themselves caught between two worlds. On one side, the unyielding force of tradition; on the other, the relentless push for modernization. In their struggle to reconcile these opposing forces, they have lost sight of the true purpose of their mission. The faithful, left in the dark, question their leaders' ability to navigate these troubled waters, wondering if the church will ever find its way back to the path of righteousness. The crisis in the church is not merely one of leadership or doctrine, it is a crisis of the sacred. In the rush to modernize, to make the church more palatable to a changing world, the sense of the divine, the awe-inspiring mystery of faith has been lost. The rituals, once imbued with meaning, are now mere performances, stripped of their sacredness. The holy spaces, once filled with the presence of the divine, now feel empty, devoid of the transcendent. And so the faithful find themselves in a state of agony, torn between the world they live in and the faith they hold dear. They long for the old ways, for the rituals and beliefs that connected them to something greater than themselves. But they are also pulled by the demands of modern life, by a world that no longer values the sacred. This inner turmoil, this conflict between the old and the new, is the true crisis of the church, a crisis that threatens to tear it apart from within. Yet in the midst of this crisis, there is a call for renewal, a whisper that echoes through the corridors of the church. It is a call to return to the roots of our faith, to rediscover the sacred in a world that has forgotten its importance. This renewal is not about turning back the clock, but about reawakening the sense of the divine that lies at the heart of our beliefs. It is about finding a way to reconcile the old with the new, to create a church that is both rooted in tradition and open to the future. The laity, once passive observers, now find themselves at the forefront of this struggle. They are the guardians of tradition, the keepers of the sacred flame. It is up to them to demand a return to the old ways, to hold their leaders accountable, and to ensure that the church does not lose its way. They are the bridge between the past and the future, the ones who can guide the church through this crisis and into a new era of faith. Despite the darkness that has descended upon the church, there is hope. This crisis, painful as it may be, is also an opportunity for growth, for renewal. The church, like a phoenix, can rise from the ashes of modernism, stronger and more resilient than before. But this will only happen if we, the faithful, are willing to fight for the soul of our church, to hold on to the sacred, even as the world around us changes. The crisis in the church is not the end, but a beginning. It is a call to action, a reminder that the faith we hold dear is worth fighting for. In the face of modernism, we must stand firm, rooted in the traditions that have sustained us for centuries. We must not let the fire of the old ways be extinguished, but must carry it forward, lighting the way for future generations. For in the end, it is the sacred, the divine that will endure long after the flames of modernism have burned out. And so, as we stand at this crossroads, let us choose the path of tradition, of faith, of the sacred. For it is only through holding on to these things that the church will survive this crisis and emerge stronger, a beacon of light in a world that so desperately needs it.